but I don't think that was 100% on them.
No.
I think with
Plus
this...
the fact, if we got a Ghostbusters movie as good as Solo, I'd be happy at this
Oh,
stage.
God, absolutely, yeah. Where's Ron Howard? Get him in.
Yeah, full disclosure, I loved Solo. Loved it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Cast Alden Ehrenreich and your woman from Game of Thrones. You'd be flying. And get Woody Harrelson in there as well. For
Yeah,
good
with
measure.
another toupee.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jarvis.
Yeah, it could be called
Or Vision.
toupee.
Or whatever it is. See what you did there. Then again, so is Stevie Wonder.
Somebody's going to be triggered.
Oh, well. Let them be.
So
We
yeah,
don't care
so
anymore.
okay, so that's what we think. We're hopeful now, more so than we were before. Whenever Dan would come out and say we're making Ghostbusters 3,
Buy my vodka.
this time we do think hopefully there is something to it. I mean, if he's talking about directors, if he's talking about scripts, if he's talking about Bill Murray coming back,
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest. If they got Bill Murray to come back and do the atrocious cameo that he did in Answer the Call, surely he'd be screaming to come back and do a proper Ghostbusters cameo.
Yeah, and get it right again.
Yeah, do you remember a few years ago at like the TMZ Awards or something?
Yeah,
where
he
he came out in the proton pack and everything.
I'll tell you how long ago that was. That was 8 years ago. That was
Yeah,
2010.
seriously?
That was 2010.
Wow.
Where he came out on stage
Yeah.
and put the proton pack
And everybody
on.
lost their minds.
Yeah, and he said, "Oh, and I had nothing else clean to wear."
Yeah, and he said,
Yeah.
you know, over the last last while I've been listening to the Ghostbusters music and all, and I think it's time we... And everybody's like, oh my God. And the next thing he turned up is this floppy hatted character. And
Oh, Bill, you prankster.
Hi, I'm Paul Feig, director of Ghostbusters Answer the Call, and you are listening to Following the Nerd.
Hi, it's Johnny C. McGinley from Stand Against Evil. You are following the nerds.
okay, this week, the big film this week is Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald.
Woo!
Because it's a W, but it's pronounced like a V. Grindelwald.
Get on with it.
Played by the arch villain Johnny Depp.
Yeah, and this is going to be his new big role, isn't it? This is going to be
Yeah.
the one that's going to eclipse Jack Sparrow because it's out the window now because
Yeah, 'cause
Pirates
that's
is getting a
gone.
reboot. So Mark, you've seen it. Tell us how good is it? Isn't it amazing? Isn't it great? Isn't it Depp's best performance ever?
It's meh.
Yeah, I thought so.
It's quite meh. It's very long. Not much happens in it, and we are still talking about the crimes. of
Waiting for the
Grindelwald
joke.
here. So yeah, no, it's actually a bit dull. It's very dull, actually.
I've heard a lot of people describe it as that. Yeah,
It's dull. It's so... I mean, the visuals are class. There's great monsters in it. The characters are still relatively fun. It just... You know, the whole plot, you could literally put the plot in a 20-minute episode of like Ben
TV
10 or
show
something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's dragged out over 2.5 hours. And the thing about it is, it's dragged out over 2.5 hours, but nothing... You know, I could understand if the characters were developed or... You know, like Johnny Depp's only in it for a couple of minutes as Grindelwald.
Great.
And it's called The Crimes of Grindelwald. He doesn't do anything.
Yes, but are there any of his crimes?
No. He kind
Right.
of kills somebody at the start, but he doesn't do it. His henchmen do, so even he doesn't do it.
Right,
And
so,
then
so what on earth is the movie about?
it's really about Credence. You know, is it Ezra Miller?
No, it's about 2.5 hours long.
Yeah. It's about Credence, Ezra Miller.
Right.
And he's trying to find out who he really is. Because
Is he a wizard?
Is he a wizard? I'm not going to tell you.
So that's a yes.
Right. So it's really the movie's really about him and the rise of Grindelwald to be the new Voldemort or the old Voldemort. Probably.
Yeah, the predecessor.
And it's really there's bits of it where they're talking about J.K. Rowling has kind of fallen into George Lucas territory a wee bit.
Oh dear Lord.
Where she becomes so self-indulgent, where she's mentioning names and things that happen, and nods to the Harry Potter universe, and it's just you're that tied up in Do you remember Dumbledore had a phoenix? Well, we're going to tell you where he came from. Do you remember Voldemort had a big pet snake? We're going to tell you who that is.
I've always wondered where these things came from.
It's like, oh my God, all these questions I never cared about and still don't. And
Yeah.
it's just, it really feels like she's just trying to get to the next movie because there's 5 of them. And I think she's got so little story to tell over 5 movies. It felt like she was just, let's have a scene in a street where a big magical monster runs amok that'll take out 10 minutes. Okay, let's do that. It feels that. It's kind of, got that kind of feel to it.
As long as her bank account still has a couple extra zeros on the end of it.
Yeah. But if you're a Harry Potter, I'm a big Harry Potter fan. My kids are Harry Potter fans. My wife's a Harry Potter fan, and we went to see it the other night. We went to the press screening of it. We actually kept the kids up really late to go and see it. And we all enjoy it. I mean, I'm not saying it's not enjoyable. It is enjoyable. It's just not very much happens in it.
Great, that's exactly what I want from a movie.
You know, I mean, like, it's like the world is very well realised and fleshed out, and you go back to Hogwarts and you meet Jude Law as the young Albus Dumbledore, who's in it for 5 minutes. We talked about this earlier on.
Great.
You've seen the trailers, you've seen all of Albus Dumbledore, that's all he's in it. He doesn't actually do anything in the
Wonderful.
movie.
You would think with the young Dumbledore being introduced, they actually have him out on the adventures.
Yeah, and he's so cool as young Dumbledore. Jude Law's a pretty cool guy. Like,
Well, yeah, of course he is.
You know, he kind of rocks it as Dumbledore. You know, he hasn't got like the big cape and long beard or anything. He's just cool, sexy Jude Law who's doing nothing.
Yeah, and he's Dumbledore.
And he's Dumbledore. So it's not a big, like, I reviewed it on the site. I gave it 2 stars for average viewers, 3 stars who are a big Harry Potter fan. But it's still not. It's not a good movie. And I really like the first one. I genuinely really like the first movie.
I liked the first one up until about halfway through, until my cynicism kicked in a big bad way, and I was just looking at it going, "This is meaningless." That this is basically, we've told our Harry Potter story.
Yeah.
We've milked the franchise so badly we split the last book in half, even though there were other books like Goblet of Fire, Order of the Phoenix that could have easily been split into 2 movies.
Yeah.
And now we're adapting essentially a small book that was released for comic relief in 2001 that's about the thickness of a postage stamp into 5 movies.
Yeah.
And it just felt like it's almost like Warner Brothers and J.K. Rowling are kind of like a gigantic vacuum cleaner, and they're sucking away at my wallet.
Yeah.
And they're just like, oh, come on. Give us a little bit more. Give us a little bit more of your cash. We're not done with you yet. And it's like, no, this does not interest me in the slightest.
Yeah, because funny, I was reading through a couple of Twitter feeds and stuff. Do you ever come out of a movie and you kind of need to feel vindicated? You find that you need to feel like, am I the only person that feels this way about the movie?
Yes.
And you go on to Twitter feeds.
Surely there must be others like me.
Yeah, other people must feel this way, but it turns out pretty much everybody feels this way about the movie. But like, one girl had said that she's a massive Harry Potter fan, and she just feels that Harry Potter is better without these movies.
Yes,
You know, as
I
you were
agree
saying,
with that.
You know, she's like, we don't need these movies. You don't need this story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I don't know. I mean, Rowling, she needs. It's, you know, she's got Stephen King itis here, where an editor needs to come along and say to her, no, there's too much happening. I love Stephen King. Stephen King's my all-time favourite author after Douglas Adams. But, you know, there's sometimes in his books, it's like, Stephen, somebody needs to tell you don't need all of this bit.
I'm getting primary school flashbacks here.
Why? Okay.
Stephen, you don't need this. But no, I think it's an interesting point that you raise comparing J.K. Rowling to Stephen King, because for me, whenever authors try to write something outside of a book, whenever they try to write something for a different medium, say like television or film, it never works out well.
Yeah.
I mean, you can take someone that is a screenwriter and give them a book to adapt. They'll make a decent job of it. But whenever you get an actual author who's only known for penning books to come in and try and write something for the big screen or the small screen, it always feels very clunky, the pacing feels terrible, and it just feels like a bit of a mess of an experience. It's like whenever Stanley Kubrick made The Shining. Shining, fantastic movie. But does it really do the book justice? No. Is it still a fine, compelling story on its own? Yes.
Yeah.
It's a great horror movie, possibly one of the best. And then whenever Stephen King saw it, he was like, this is terrible, this is a travesty to my work. I'm going to go off and make the Shining miniseries.
Which was horrendous.
Which was appalling.
Yeah.
But Stephen King wrote it. It's like, what do you call that one with the transforming beasts Stephen King wrote? Like the Sleepwalkers.
Yeah, but in fairness, that was only a short story. That was only like 60 pages.
Yeah, but he wrote that into the actual...
Oh, did he screenwrite the movie?
I think he did, yeah.
Right, because I know the only movie that he was really involved in was Pet Sematary, which is actually a pretty good movie.
Yeah.
And it seems like finally they're starting to do Stephen King justice. You know, with it, and you know they're working on new Pet Sematary and things like Mr. Mercedes. Well, not even talking about the Dark Tower, and things like Mr. Mercedes. But it is interesting what you're saying as well, is because you know The Shining is an incredible book.
Yeah.
The Shining is an incredible movie. The Shining TV series, which almost word for word replicates the novel, is terrible. Because some things work on the page, in your head, in your imagination, that gets under your skin, that just doesn't work on the screen.
No,
even
not.
Mr. Mercedes, have you been watching Mr. Mercedes?
No.
Right, because it's based on the Stephen King's trilogy of books, the Finders Keepers trilogy. And in the second, the first book is basically about this retired cop who goes after a killer. And it's very grounded, it's very real world. It's a really, really, really good thing. Really good story. The TV series is brilliant. Brendan Gleeson's playing Hodges, the detective. It's so good. The first series is one of the best TV series of recent years. Nice. But then the second series, it kind of skips the second book because the second book has nothing really to do with the main story. In the third book, the killer comes back and he becomes psychic.
Okay.
It works in the book. In the book, it's really cool. It explains how it's happening, and it happens gradually over, and they're trying to work it out. But in the TV series, it's just like, oh my God, this is so bad.
Yeah, it almost feels campy in a way, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's so bad, and you could, they try to do it like it's all inside his head, but it's just, I'm like, I know they did this in the book, and the first series is so good, and Brendan Gleeson's always amazing. You can watch Brendan Gleeson anywhere and doing anything, but it's this translation of the page to the screen just doesn't work sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Fantastic Beasts, if you're a big Harry Potter fan, I would definitely go and see it just for the fun of it, but if you're not, I wouldn't bother. It's an overlong mess of a movie, in fairness. It's
something that just has not piqued my interest in the slightest.
Okay.
Like since the first couple of trailers before it came out.
Yeah.
It feels like a cash grab.
Yeah, it does feel like a cash grab now, to be honest.
But I mean, it would be okay if it was a cash grab, because you know me, like I'm a sucker for things like that.
Oh yeah.
Like I'll go see a Transformers movie any day of the week.
Yeah, I can't wait for Bumblebee.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Could be.
It looks good.
Yeah. Well, like even before that, like the last night, I still went to see that in the cinema. Just because it was Transformers. I knew it was going to be bad.
No, but did you know it was going to be that bad?
I knew it was going to be terrible, yeah.
I couldn't have envisioned how bad it was.
Yeah, like, but you've got like IMAX camera shots for like 1/4 of a second, then it cuts away to like a regular cinescope shot, and then cuts back to IMAX again. Yeah, that levels of bad. And Anthony Hopkins, the wonderful actor Anthony Hopkins.
I actually forgot he was in it.
Running about screaming like a teenager. Yeah, I still enjoyed it because it was so bad.
Yeah.
I like things like that where I can sit back and laugh, and at least I get something out of it. And I love Transformers, and I love seeing the action, I love seeing the fights, and even the fights that you can see, because usually it's just a blurry mess. It looks like two junkyards fighting each other. But I still went to it, I still enjoyed it, I still had fun with it. I still went out and bought the toys and played with them at home, because I'm just like that as a human. But yeah, I still got something from it. But whereas with this, it kind of feels like, I love Harry Potter, and I love the lore, and I love the wands and the fantastic beasts, and I do want to know where to find them. But whenever you sit down to watch it, it's just like it's giving you nothing back.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, you've got all the parts, but you can't quite make the puzzle pieces fit together.
Yeah.
Sort of a thing.
Yeah, it was disappointing now, to be honest. And it's one of those films, whenever you're watching it, you're like, yeah, this is actually all right. And then the more you think about it, the more you're like, no, it wasn't all right. Like, it wasn't good. Because I came out and we were talking about it afterwards. It's like, yeah, no, it's okay. I mean,
it's funny you were saying that earlier, where you said like you came out of the cinema and you had to feel vindicated for feeling the way that you felt.
Yeah.
I remember the first time that ever happened to me, Spider-Man 3.
Oh, one of the worst movies ever made.
Where I went to see the first two movies, and I loved them.
Yeah.
I thought they were excellent. Like
second Spider-Man is one of the best superhero movies.
Sam Raimi is all over those movies.
Yeah.
You can feel him in every single frame in that picture. But with Spider-Man 3, I remember sitting down to watch it, and I just binged the first two movies the night before, and I was like, more Spider-Man, this is going to be fantastic. And I remember just this horrible feeling of foreboding coming over me as the movie went on. And by the time it came to the end credits, I came out of the screen, got out my phone, I texted a friend and I said, Spider-Man 3 was bad.
Yeah, what happened?
And they texted me back going, no, was it? I'm just about to go in to see it now. And I said, no, I genuinely think it was a bad movie. And they went, like, not as good as the first two? And I went, no, just not a good movie at all. As in, the very definition of a movie.
Yeah.
This was bad.
Bad, yeah.
And I couldn't quite get over it. Like, I was in some sort of, like, weird shell shock moment where I was like, what am